He is getting ready to check on.
In short,
He can run, but he can't hide.
that's right.
Chairman, I got Captain Bruder that's going to be joining us in a second.
Robbie, you didn't hurt yourself over the weekend, did you, playing baseball?
Not yet. That's
All right.
on the second and third.
Oh, my
There we go.
goodness.
I see Councilmember Brady is there. I can't actually see him, but I see his square.
I am. I'm in the car.
Okay, well, it's an appropriate place to be for this meeting. And there's the.
Hey, everybody.
Hey there, Mayor.
Hey there, Mayor.
How y'all doing?
Doing great. Mayor, in the new year, I see that you might have a new resolution, and that is not only be on time, but to be early. I went to the refuel ribbon cutting today. I got there at 1 minute to 10, and you had come and gone.
Oh, it's come and gone. I had to put back a 10 to 10:15 just to be there, and so sorry about that. When I
That's
drove
okay.
back by, I saw everybody was still out front, so that might have been why, because you arrived.
It's all good. All good. All right, I think we've got critical mass and so if do we have everybody we need from your end, Robbie, Jason, we good to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, with that in mind, then I'll call the January 23rd special meeting of the City of Charleston Traffic and Transportation Committee to order and begin by asking Councilmember Gregg to lead us in an invocation or a moment of silence, please.
Just a quick moment of silence. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the consideration of the January 3rd minutes of this committee, which were sent to you under separate cover. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Yes. All right, it's all been moved and seconded. Any additions, deletions, corrections? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Silence is assent. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Hey, Mike, audio is breaking up.
Next is mine is, I have really bad connection, so if you all lose me, let me know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's why the delay is. We're getting a little bit of in and out, or at least I am. I don't know if everybody else is having the same.
I'll keep an eye on my connectivity. Next on our agenda is the Upper King Street late night parking plan. Mr. Somerville and Captain Bruder.
Yeah, I got this is the plan that basically Captain Bruder with Mr. Tyrone Lawrence put together to for the Upper King Street I guess closure and parking plan. So I'll let Captain Bruder take over from here.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Just quickly, I'll go over, I think we're all generally aware of the plan that's been going on King Street. Started in May of 2021. That's been going in different phases, but with the general same objectives, just to make sure King Street's a little more safe, and we're doing everything we can as a city to help with that. Some of the things that have been kind of going along the way. One of the early things was just restricting parking on King Street. It started out with bagging of the meters, which wasn't very effective, and it's creating, I guess, maybe some controversy on why we had to bag those so early on. And so some other things that were done was the working with the parking garages to get a flat rate and some different measures there to allow for ease of use and ease of people leaving in the evening hours and when they're done at these establishments. As we've been progressing through this for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, we've started ticketing. And well, let me back up. The area from John to Spring Street is really what we're talking about here along King Street. There's roughly 70 metered spaces on either side, or on both sides in that area. And we've had the parking restricted in that area from 6 o'clock in the evening to 3 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. Like I said, that was started with bagging, and then the signs were put up in October. So about 4 months, those have been up. And we really wanted to push forward with, getting those spots cleared. But so far, efforts of ticketing and awareness and marketing have fallen on deaf ears, or maybe they have worked, but we still continue to have these spaces regularly occupied. So before we get into the plan, which is going to include some towing, the reason that we've asked this, the police department's asked this of the parking enforcement division in the city as a whole, is the public safety matters down there. We're aware of the events down there where we had shootings. Some of the things that have led to that earlier were people hanging out at cars. We all are aware of that. There was previously no parking enforcement after 6 p.m. So that meant more or less you could park in those metered spaces starting at 6 until you wanted to leave. So what we found in early 21 and through 22 was that people were congregating at these cars. They're hanging out there. We were routinely getting guns. We're still getting guns to these cars that are people hanging out down there. We've displaced them into the garages and different areas where it's not any better, but it is better than being directly on King Street where these masses of people are lining up and patronizing our bars down there. So the goal here is just to have that open thoroughfare on King Street. We'll still continue with the diverted traffic. We'll have one lane traveling south. Really here, what we're trying to accomplish is those metered spaces along King Street between on King Street between John and Spring being vacated and open so that we don't have people hanging out there. We don't have people darting between them. If there is an issue, we can get police, fire, and EMS there relatively quickly. And there's places for them to stage if we do have to address things, whether it's, a fire marshal having to deal with something, they're not having to park in the middle of the road, or EMS being called to a scene. It just enables all the different aspects of public safety to flow better when those spots are open. And that's where we've come to you with this proposal to implement towing on February 9th, starting at 6 p.m. That's a Thursday. Just because we need to get this plan in place, and then I'll let Mr. Lawrence go into a little more detail of the plan itself. But we need to get this plan in place before our festival season really gets up and going, which really, I think we traditionally kick it off with Seaweed. So that starts February 17th, I believe is the first night of Seaweed, February 16th. So really want to get that going before our bigger events through the year happen, and then we get back into summertime again where these crowds grow, especially hanging out on King Street. So that's really why we're here, what we've come to in our asking police department of the parking enforcement division. Tyrone, if you want to take over the plan here and organized manner of we're going to try to accomplish this. I would just say I think our goal is still to code no cars, ticket no cars. We'd still prefer compliance across the board, but 4 months or so of ticketing all of the vehicles down there, the parking enforcement still led to people continuously parking in these spots. So Tyrone, you want to take it, or Robbie, did I miss anything?
No, you pretty much covered everything that I can think of, Captain. Just to give everyone an idea of where we're at as far as enforcement, as far as the ticketing on King Street over the weekends. This past weekend was the third weekend for 2023, and we've written 868 tickets in 3 weekends. That comes to a total of 3,767 tickets since this detail began with the ticketing only. So unfortunately, looking at these numbers, anywhere from 95 to 100 tickets every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, nothing's changed. And we did post some stats for the mayor out of curiosity. Are we seeing more out of towners, or are we seeing South Carolinians, South Carolina tags? And 80% of the violators have South Carolina tags. And what was even more curious, I had my staff post some more additional stats to see if we had a lot of repeat offenders, like folks who just didn't care, worth partying for the $45 ticket. And strangely enough, 90% of these are brand new people every weekend. Because I was thinking, what, really? Are you doing, you got a ticket last weekend, 2 tickets, and you're back again this weekend? No, it's brand new people every night. So that being said, I was able to work with the captain and come up with a plan after decisions made as far as moving to the next step, as far as towing. And we're prepared for it. We're ready for it. I've already sat with Michael Jennings, and he's going to provide the tow trucks for the detail when we get the green light. But as far as the aspect of towing, we're still going to stick with the plan of the parking officers working with the police department. I'll be out there on those Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights with my staff, but to tow the vehicles from King Street to Jennings Towing. I know, Mayor, you had mentioned something about maybe staging them in another location, but that seemed to be a little challenging as far as making sure someone's there to not only watch the vehicles, so someone just doesn't walk 2 blocks, get in their vehicle and drive off, but someone will have to be there to take funds, take payment. So that seems to be a little challenging, even with the great thought process of not the inconvenience. But sounds like the simplest and the safest thing would be to let the vehicles go to Jennings where they can be stored properly, like the normal procedure is. I totally agree not to write any parking tickets. I think that adds insult to injury with a $45 ticket and having your vehicle towed. And we can revisit that a month or so down the road, but we'll just put warning tickets or flyers on the vehicles that we happen to tow. And that's pretty much where we're at as far as the plans if we were to get the green light to move forward with the towing. We'll actually start at King and John Street, focus on the east side of King Street, headed north. Once we clear that out, and as we're clearing it, we'll put cones in each cleared spot to try to reassure that no one comes and park behind us. Of course, the street will be blocked, but we'll put cones in every empty space. And of course, we'll take photos as we go along with the towing, showing that a cone was in the spot, the date, the time, the location, and it was cleared. So no one should have any justification parking after we've cleared the street. Then we'll go down to Spring Street, then go, flip around and come back King and Spring southbound, which will be the west side of King Street. And I'm hoping once everyone sees that all the activity of the towing is going on the east side of King, I'm hoping most of these folks on the west side will voluntarily leave at that point. I'm hoping. So that's pretty much the goal the first weekend for towing, if it gets to that point, for the King Street retail.
What I'd like to add real quick is that, when this first started, we have message boards out there indicating no parking. So we have our big variable message boards on both approaches on King Street to let the public know not to park, on King Street during those times. We have also added signage on every meter space on the loading zones, both sides of King Street to indicate no parking during those specific times. As part of this detail, we are going to bag the meters starting at 4 o'clock to let the businesses and the motorists know that it is a prohibited zone. And the detail with, again, we're not going to ticket, but the process with starting the vehicle removal will start around 6 or 6:30ish.
Okay, anybody on the committee have any questions about the objective or the actually implementation of the plan? Councilmember Gregg, and then the mayor.
I would just add that it's pretty clear if you drive. I drove down there Thursday night. I mean, if you the signboards on all the meters are very clear. So I mean, if people are parking down there, my opinion, it's time to ticket them and tow them. I mean, it can't be any more clear that you shouldn't park on King Street on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night. I mean, you guys think giving everyone plenty of grace, and I think you got to do what you got to do. People aren't listening.
Thank you. Mayor Tecklenburg, I saw you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do concur with Councilmember Gregg, but we all know that people don't read signs, and you know, they get mad at us after something happens rather than being aware of it beforehand. And the statistic you just gave, Tyrone, by the way, I'm glad I didn't wear my best hat because it would not be near as cool as your hat.
Yeah, it is cool.
You said that 90% of the tickets are brand new people, like every time. So what's happening, in my view, is people we always get new people coming. They're not reading the signs, and they're getting the tickets. Of course, they're going to feel even a little more dejected when they come out and their car is gone. So I've had to go to Mr. Jennings in my life before, and it's generally not a pleasant experience. So those folks that get towed, I bet they'll pay attention in the future and won't park there. But you know, there are always new people coming to King Street on any given night, any given weekend. So we want to try to communicate. I'm glad to hear y'all are putting the bags out again. Robbie, if I could ask, you know, there's like a little sleeve in there that you can slip a card or something, and just as big as you can put it, towing tonight, and on the card in the bag, towing tonight. And I would respectfully ask you put the same, go ahead and put on your variable message board, you know, starting February 9th, towing starting February 9th. And honestly, I think I was walking by there today when I was going to that ribbon cutting, and that big sign near the Francis Marion Garage, it almost obstructs the sidewalk a bit. But since y'all changed, you removed the little sign from those meters down there, I would see if we can't move that variable message board up to John Street and put it where the actual towing will start taking place. And then I presume, Tyrone or Jason, y'all are going to have enough cones, basically, to have a cone for each parking space, right? By the time you get the whole area cleared out. Would we be able to, you know, starting even before we start towing, if the cones are out there, if somebody does happen to pull off from a space, even with the bag over the meter, to go ahead and where possible to put a cone in the space just to prevent somebody from parking there even before we start towing. And then the last thing I would ask us to consider, I know, Jason, you mentioned when we talked about this that at some point y'all get busy just from the number of folks that are coming out to King Street, but I'm just going to say it. Do you think we could start 1 hour later, just push it all back 1 hour? It's kind of a middle ground to let the people who were there late afternoon. Retail shops normally close what time, Meg? About 6?
Most of the retail shops would close between 5 and 6. Yes.
Yeah, and just hopefully give a little time there. And if we were putting cones out when people were leaving and gave it 1 more hour, I think it would It might reduce the number of cars we have to tow, I'm not sure. But anyway, that would be my request.
Okay, got it. Anybody else? Any member of the committee, Councilmember Brady, any questions from your end? Hearing none. I've got
Nope, I don't have any.
Great, thank you. Just a couple, if you don't mind. In terms of the objective, Captain Bruder, I couldn't agree with you more. I think the objective, we've made some progress up on King Street. I think this is going to give you another very positive tool in your arsenal to keep things moving, flowing, and have access. Tyrone, I've got a couple questions just about logistics, particularly given what the mayor has now requested is to push everything back an hour. In terms of personnel and equipment, how do you plan on staffing, for instance, the first Thursday night? How many people, boots on the ground, will you have? And how many tow trucks do we anticipate Jennings deploying and having at the ready?
Yes, Councilman, when I spoke to him late last week, he's promising me at least 8 tow trucks to start. So that's the number he was saying he would have available. And I'm thinking, as far as the parking staff, I would have a parking supervisor with me and at least 4 PEOs. So that'll be a total of 5 of them actually physically towing.
I have to say, I agree with the mayor on putting it back an hour if we can. And it seems to me, particularly in the first weekend, if this is logistically possible, one of the things that would be helpful if the meters and the bags go into effect at 6 o'clock, no parking after 6, that gives us an hour and a half to do a few things. And Mayor, you may remember this when we invoked and we started towing in the neighborhoods. Sue Griffin, as you will recall, would literally go up and down the streets in the neighborhoods with a bullhorn.
I've got one.
At particular houses and tell people that towing was coming. It seems to me that it would probably be a good idea if we got the personnel to do it, particularly the first few weekends, to take, whether it's a half hour or an hour and a half, depending on how we fall on this, to, if we see people pulling into spaces, let them know it's about to happen. If we see people up and down the street, let them know that those tow trucks are coming. So during that period between 6 and whenever the tow trucks come, there's an opportunity for people to reclaim their car voluntarily rather than from Jennings. The other thing, and I see Councilmember Boyd has his hands up, Councilmember Gregg has his hands up. I'm wondering about the logistics of this, why you chose to start southeast and move north to the west. It seems to me that the most problematic corridor is the 500 block on the west side. And we're starting the furthest away we possibly could from there by starting southeast instead of northwest. Is there a reason why you chose that pattern?
Councilman, if that's for Tyrone, there's no reason, sir. So that's an easy switch. We can easily.
Okay. And by the way, if we have 8 trucks and you've got 5 or 6 people deployed, can't we start southeast and northwest and have sort of a double team moving? Do we have to do it one at a time?
No, there's no rhyme or reason. We can switch up. We can have a group doing east side and a group doing west side. You can do that.
Okay, great. All right, Councilmember Gregg, I see your hand up.
Sorry, muted. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have you taken a look and seen how many of these are College of Charleston students? Is it can you see CSE parking tags or anything like that on these cars? Y'all done any looking into that?
I know we have it in the parking division.
Okay.
I'm guessing, and it's an educated guess, that particularly for the 2023 tickets that have been given, the 868 since January 1st, a very small percentage of those will be College of Charleston because the College of Charleston wasn't here for a good bit of January. So, and I don't think this is a College of Charleston issue just from my eye. The number that's surprising, and I heard it before today, is that 90% new ticket versus recidivism. So King Street's vibrant, people are coming. We just need to get the message out. And I suspect pretty quickly, once cars start being towed, that the message will become heard pretty loudly. So do we, Robbie, need a motion to take and carry forward, or is this something that's within your purview and the police department's purview to go forward without an actual vote from this committee? How do we want to handle that?
I don't think we need a motion since signage is clearly up and displayed. I think we can move forward. We just wanted to make sure that, council was aware of this. As the mayor indicated, we know that, some people are going to be a little unhappy about
They're gonna be a lot unhappy.
vehicle towed, but so we just wanted to, bring this to the committee and make sure the committee knew what we were doing and why we're doing what we're doing.
Well, members of the committee, what I might suggest is this. I think we need to report this out pretty loudly at city council tomorrow night. Certainly try to get a news story on this. Rick, Meg, Jack, let's get some stories out about that. I'm sure there'll be an editorial about it too, which is fine. And then do we need to have further discussion, Mayor and Jason and Tyrone, about the hour in which we actually put the hooks on these? I actually agree with the mayor. I think 7:30, if you can do it, is better, because we will allow some grace period for the retail establishments. But if you tell us logistically that's very difficult, I guess we're all ears about that too.
The actual closure starts at 8. Is that right, Captain?
Well, we closed the northbound lane at 8. From the police department side of it, the crowds really start picking up by 9. At that point, we've got to move to more crowd control and crowd management. So, as long as the parking spaces are clear by, 8:30 or so. Obviously, when we get to the point where that's only 1 or 2 cars, that's much more manageable. For this first week or so, or the first weekend, when we realistically may be towing 70 cars, or at least planning to, starting at, hopefully people run outside and start moving their cars. I don't know how long that would take. My other concern with that is that whatever we're doing should match the signage and the messaging that we're doing. If we're not going to tow until 7, and the logistical side of it takes it till 7:30 that we actually start, I think that's reasonable. But right now it's showing 6 and we're going to bag it at 4, saying there's no parking because we're going to tow at 7. So I think that's just going to confuse the message out there. I do think having the meters bagged with the clear message helps. But we're going to likely get the first question is, well, can I park here from 4 to 7 without being ticketed if it says towing starts at 7? So I don't know that I answered your question, but
well, maybe we can split the baby. And look, if you tow a little later than advertised, it's better than towing earlier than advertised, obviously. Especially in the first weekend, I think that sort of the mayor's approach to this is to give a little bit of an unofficial grace period for people that catch back up with themselves in their cars before they actually get the hooks on them. So maybe split this down the middle, Mayor, and actually start operations with 2 tow trucks, 1 south, 1 north, going at 7, and see how that works, and work through the logistics of that. That may be a good compromise, but
yeah, and if they are per the schedule, they're gonna muster at the bus barn at 6 at 1800 hours. If they mustered at 1700 hours, it's going to take them at least 15 or 20 minutes to get out and get started. I think the fact that you got 8 tow trucks, it's going to, that's a good number of tow trucks to make a difference. And in my view, I don't want to promise anybody a particular time they're going to get towed. I think the message just needs to be towing tonight, and
right.
Without a specific time. And that way they're on notice that they park tonight, they risk getting towed. And as we're discussing, it's going to not just be probable, but likely. And so the way that works, even if you put some cones out, somebody could move a cone and park at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, right? And we're going to continue to have a tow truck on standby or on call, right? Tyrone, in the event, even after we've made the initial clear, we'll be able to call Jennings really up until 3 o'clock in the morning to tow if somebody happens to park, right?
That's correct, sir.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think you promise a particular time. You just say towing tonight.
After 6.
After 6, anytime after 6, yeah. But
Okay.
when
That's
the-
certainly, I think that suits the plan, does it not?
Meg, I presume on your communications, you would include the College of Charleston and ask them to put the word out as best they can to their folks and students, just in case there are some students.
Yes, sir. And we're going to add a component this time of basically making a flyer for businesses to hand to patrons if they come in during those hours. Get just as many methods of communications out to people as we possibly can.
Right. And are we going to talk about parking options, the garages, or anything like that as part of all this?
Yes, we did include in the press release that went out when we started ticketing, we talked about the reduced rate at the visitor center garage, and those options will reiterate that again.
Terrific.
Okay. Is that the long and short of it?
I think so. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing us to bring this forward and continue
Sure.
to evolve the plan a little bit. We just wanted to make sure we got the word out on this some more. I thought by bringing it to this committee and to council, make all this committee and council members aware that this was moving forward would be wise. So we're not surprised. And to the best degree possible, we're going to try to make everyone else know so they won't be surprised and get their car towed starting on February the 9th.
Sounds great. I have a couple of requests, if you all don't mind. Can we put this on as a regular item on our TNT agenda for the next 3 or 4 months, just so we get a report back as to exactly how we're doing, numbers of tows and all that kind of stuff? So hopefully we'll see a trend from high to low, not from low to high. I think that would be helpful. The other thing, well, I think that'll probably be okay. And then my plan, Meg, Tyrone, and Jason tomorrow night at City Council is to report out sort of the history of this, why we're doing it. I'm going to publish the numbers that you all gave us today, the number of tickets since we started, number of tickets over the year, the recidivism rates, all that. So council is fully aware of what we're doing and we get buy-in from everybody. But I think this is an unfortunate but necessary action item, and really do believe it's going to help even more sort of get us in a better place up on Upper King Street. By the way, Meg, I guess let's report to the bid too, so they've got their email list, let everybody know in the bid that this is coming. I think we talked about it at the last board meeting,
Yes.
but I wasn't too clear all the things that were going on. So, all right, are there any other questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry to keep adding things, but and Jason mentioned this as part of the rationale behind all this, but I just want to remind everybody that these vehicles sometimes over the last couple of years have served as places where people party and gather and store things that maybe we don't want to be stored near all this activity. Also, with the number, anybody who drives up and down that one lane late at night on King Street knows that it's a pedestrian free-for-all, and people don't go down to the corner to the crosswalk. They cross any and everywhere across King Street, and they come behind these parked cars, and sometimes they're very hard to see. So there's a very good rationale for doing this and making Upper King Street safer. The first question I get, both from the tickets and from this potential towing from folks, is, why are you doing this? I mean, you're taking away these parking places, but it's all about making this a safer place. And so I just wanted to share that.
Right, and I concur on that. I have one more quick question, I guess, for Jason. I know the objective here is safety. I know the objective is not to turn Upper King Street into a pedestrian mall. How are we going to manage, once the cars are not in those spaces, not turning that area into a pedestrian mall? Do we have a plan for that?
So yes, there's some of that area. I mean, obviously those sidewalks could use a little bit of area, maybe another, quarter of the parking space for people to move around the various lines that are out there. But obviously with those parking spaces open now, we really have about, King Street, 3.5 lanes. We would strategically park our vehicles. We'd coordinate with the fire department to park their vehicles, so we could be better positioned than just on one side of the traffic that's flowing. We can now be better positioned with better visibility and be able to control that a little bit more. And then, like we mentioned with the hailer earlier, we would be able to direct people, hey, go down and use the sidewalk, don't dart out in front of traffic. So that would be our plan once these vehicles are cleared from there. On the occasion or two where we have maybe gotten a whole block on really the northbound side to open up, we've been able to do that, and it seems to work well. I don't think we've ever reached it where both sides were open completely, and we had that avenue to traverse. So that'd be the plan.
I think that's a really good plan. I think having the blue running lights on both sides of the street instead of all on the east side of the street will really make a big difference. Big difference. And if we can put one right in front of that convenience store on the 500 block, that would be really great. All right. Is there anything else that needs to come before this committee on this particular subject?
Chair, I have one more thing, Tyrone.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure we're clear on the time, the start time that we're going to bag the meters.
6 o'clock or 4 o'clock, right? You're going to start putting bags on at 4 and activating at 6. Is that what I heard?
That's how I understand it. I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
As long as that works for you. I think you're the operations guy here. This is going to fall on your very broad shoulders. And so if that gives you the time, that sounds like a plan.
Bag the meters at 4, and the goal is at this point is to begin the detail 1900, 7 o'clock.
Be ready to go at 7. Yep.
All right. Got it. Thank you.
Towing tonight.
Yes, sir. I got that.
Wow. Okay. All right. Is there anything else needs to come before this committee, the special meeting of Traffic and Transportation Committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn and see everybody tomorrow afternoon.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
By the way,
Aye.
thank you all very much for your hard work on all this. I know this has been hard work, and I know there's going to be some more hard work to come on this, and there'll be some heat, but we're clearly doing the right thing here, and it's going to work, and it's going to make city safer. So we've got your back on this one. So thank you.
I'll give you a call, Meg.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. See ya. Thanks.